Welcome back to FBA Gatekeeping Weekly. This week, Umar Johnson Pan-African scam is sliding closer to foreclosure while delineation is rising. Democrats are back at it again, trying to shame us into caping for illegals, and Jasmine Crockett's social media antics hit a new low. Oh, and little Yachty decided to turn George Floyd into a punchline. Anyways, this is the Culture Debrief, so let's get started. So here we are, after more than a decade of donations, promises, anti-snow bunny rants, and endless coming soon banners, Dr. Umar's FDMG Academy now has an auction notice on the door. The building isn't a school. It's honestly a monument to unfinished business.
On August the 5th, the city of Wilmington, Delaware, took out a notice to auction off the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy campus for unpaid vacant property registration fees. I repeat, on August the 5th, the city of Wilmington, Delaware, took out a lien to auction off the campus we bought, the campus we've been working on for 6.5 years. I was not notified of this. We were not notified of this. This past weekend, without an email, this past weekend, without a letter in the mail, this past weekend, without a phone call, the city of Wilmington put a notice on the door handle of both of our schools.
Now, to be fair, Pan-Africanism sounds good as an idea, but Umar has turned into the perfect mascot for it in America. All talk, no results. Symbolism without delivery. 10 years of fundraising and not a single working classroom. And the sad truth, Pan-Africanism itself hasn't done much better. Decades of global unity speeches, but no reparations, no tangible wins, not here in America.
You are asking for cash. Then your reparations list ain't worth much.
That's what I said.
Because your reparations list should put you in a position to make all the money you want on your own. What you need to pay out from info. But black people are so worried about money that we can't see the bigger picture. We also fail to recognize that reparations is not just for us living. It's for those gone and those not yet here.
Come on.
I ain't heard nobody talk about how much we're going to put to the side for the generations unborn yet.
Facts.
And that's why I believe that this generation of blacks in America, we shouldn't get the reparations. We are too irresponsible.
Ain't ready.
We will waste it.
Yeah.
Put the reparations in a trust somewhere until we get a more revolutionary, more conscious group of blacks. Let them decide what to do with it. We ain't there.
Yeah.
Look at all the bunny hopping and we do. What we doing with reparations?
Easter Sunday.
No.
Meanwhile, look at delineation. While Umar's building sat there rotting, the FBA delineation movement was shifting the ground under American politics. In less than 10 years, delineation has pushed reparations from a pipe dream into the mainstream. States like California and New York are now studying it because FBA's demanded it. Expose the Pan-African blind spot by drawing a hard line, foundational black Americans on one side and everyone else on the other. We basically stopped outsiders from hijacking our struggle and stealing our history. Delineation has changed how elections play out. The no tangible, no vote stance has been flooding social media since 2018 to 2019. That's part of why Biden barely scraped by. And also, delineation carried that energy into 2024 when a large number of black voters chose the couch over the ballot, and it rattled the Democrats. That wasn't apathy, it was a strategy. For the first time, the system had to face the fact that our vote is not free anymore. And that's literally the difference. Delineation brings clarity, and clarity creates leverage. No fake conferences, no schools that never open, just real results. Pan-Africanism, after decades of speeches, couldn't deliver anything concrete for Black Americans. Maybe a few charter schools here and there, but delineation in under a decade has already forced politicians, states, and media to acknowledge us directly. That's the difference between cosplay politics and lineage politics.
Man, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? Check this out. I've been watching a lot of these reparations hearings, right? And it's two things that irk my spirit. But the second one don't really irk me the most, but the first one do. And the first one is these Pan-Africans. You'll get these Pan-Africans, because this is how I sit up if y'all haven't seen it. So you'll have like a commission, right? That's listening to the people, on why we should get reparations and things like that. So they're going to try to pass out to the legislator so he can see if it get passed, which it won't get passed because you can't do it race based, and that's how they tricking a lot of people. Like, hey, we black, we should get it. You can't get it like that. So that's number one. But anyway, so you have different people that come and speak, and a lot of these are Black Americans too. Let me say this: a lot of these people that are Pan-African are Black Americans, but they get up here and just sabotage the whole thing. One thing they'll do, they get up there and say, hey, our people from the diaspora should get some too. They are brothers and sisters, so they throw that out there. Then another person might come up there, and he gonna start reciting poems. Like, these people will get at a reparations hearing where people are trying to listen, that's on this commission board, they're trying to help us get some type of financial gain, and these damn Pan-Africans will get up there and start reciting a poem. A poem that they wrote, they ain't got nothing to do with the money. They ain't saying like, hey, we should get this for this, because if you could trace, they ain't talking about none of that. These Pan-Africans are time wasters.
So yeah, Umar's school going up for auction is embarrassing, but it's also poetic. His failure is a cautionary tale. While he spent 10 years chasing a dream that never materialized, Delineation was raising the political IQ of Black America and teaching this country that our support comes with conditions. One movement built a brand, the other built leverage. That's why delineation politics matter. So here's a new spin for Democrats. Black folks didn't defend the illegals, so now Trump's coming for you. See, we told you so. Excuse me? They never stop coming for us. For Black Americans, federal overreach isn't some brand new Netflix original. It's the rerun we've been stuck watching for 400 years. Here's what really happened. On August 11th, Trump declared a crime emergency and invoked Section 740 of the DC Home Rule Act, basically yanked control of the Metropolitan Police out of local hands. That put the MPD under federal control, backed by the FBI, ATF, DEA, ICE, and the U.S. Marshal. By August 14, Attorney General Pam Bondi tore up DC's sanctuary protection, ended the don't cooperate with ICE policy, and installed her own police commissioner. That same night, ICE made 29 arrests in one sweep.
Yesterday, my Uber Eats driver got arrested by ICE while he was delivering my food. I walked downstairs to pick it up, and I noticed his location hadn't changed in like 2 or 3 minutes, and he was like 2 or 3 blocks away from my house. I stepped into the street, and I saw police lights, and I thought maybe he got into an accident, so I walked down to see if I could help him in any way. I then realized that he was being questioned by like 8 or 9 ICE officers, and they were asking about his moped specifically. They said they pulled him over because his plate didn't run under their system correctly or something like that. They then out loud admitted that they were wrong and that there was nothing wrong with his moped, there was nothing wrong with his insurance, his license, or his registration, but he spoke Arabic and not English, and he couldn't explain when he got into the country, so they detained him anyways, and I'll post the video right here.
He doesn't understand what you're saying, bro. Just use Google Translate on your phone. It takes 2 seconds.
This is some bullshit. This is ridiculous.
You're gonna have access.
And that explains why you saw white folks in the streets holding signs warning illegals about ICE down the block. Funny how I didn't hear anything about them warning Black residents when Trump's Gestapo rolled into our neighborhoods. Now, Democrats, of course, responded. Well, kinda. They sued. They huffed and puffed. They called it unconstitutional. Mayor Bowser and the DC AG held a press conference. Democrats in Congress introduced some weak resolution. Then the cameras cut away and it was back to business as usual. But notice the difference in response. When immigrants are targeted, MSNBC is saying breaking news, gross injustice in our nation's capital. Democrats are doing emergency press conferences, rallies, GoFundMe, bilingual signage, and taxpayer-funded legal clinics. Hollywood, stand with immigrant hashtags with every washed-up celebrity you forgot existed. And Biden, billions poured into immigrant defense funds. At one point, he even floated reparations for illegal immigrants. But when federal agents swarm Black neighborhoods like it's open stop and frisk season, MSNBC is saying this is concerning. Anyways, here's the weather. Democrats, maybe a press release saying nothing. Hollywood, if they say anything at all, is a vague "we must do better" tweet with a black square. And Biden and co, allocate $0, not even a pilot program. Meanwhile, Trump dismantles DEI, threatens Black cities like Atlanta and Detroit, and greenlights police militarization that hits us like the Gestapo. And what do Democrats give us? A half-hearted tweet and maybe a Spotify playlist. See the difference? If ICE raided a Latino neighborhood, MSNBC goes wall to wall and Democrats risk arrest for solidarity. But if the National Guard storms a black neighborhood, suddenly it's called maintaining order and everyone moves on. And here's the kicker. Black DC residents aren't running. When feds set up checkpoints, people warn each other. They share intel on which blocks are hot. They protest. They heckle agents to their faces. They stand firm because we've been living this our whole lives. So Democrats can miss us with this "you're next" narrative. We've been next since the beginning. And unlike some communities, we don't fold when the feds show up. We resist, we survive, and we keep pushing. So let me be crystal clear. Black Americans are not the moral mules of progressive politics. We're not here to be guilt-tripped into fights that were never ours. We don't owe outrage of solidarity to people who never once showed up for us. The real story in DC isn't that ICE came for immigrants. The story is that immigrants are finally experiencing what black folks have been living through for centuries. We're not new to this, we're true to this. And until Democrats fight for us with the same energy they fight for everyone else, we're going to keep sitting these battles out. That's not complicity, that's clarity. So Jasmine Crockett didn't run for Congress. She auditioned for the Real Housewives of Capitol Hill. Her brand, loud. Her product, memes. Her results, nothing. Sure, she went viral for calling Marjorie Taylor Greene a bleach blonde, bad-built, butch body, cute moment.
Someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad-built, butch body that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
I'm trying to find clarification on what qualifies.
Chairman, motion.
Memorable one-liner. It got retweets, TikToks, and applause from the MSNBC crowd. But did it lower black unemployment? Did it bring federal money back to South Dallas? Did it get reparations on the table? No. All it did was boost Crockett's easy Instagram followers. And you see, that's Crockett's entire career in a nutshell. She's the congresswoman equivalent of a viral tweet, loud, fleeting, and ultimately forgettable. Here's the part her fans don't talk about. Jasmine Crockett was raised in privilege. Private schools. How many of you paid $35K a year for high school? How about $70K for college? She has access to elite social networks and opportunities most of her working class constituents could never even dream of. This is not a woman who grew up dodging eviction notice or hustling 2 jobs to keep the light on. And yet, look at the persona she markets. Exaggerated slang, roundaway girl theatrics on the house floor. She leans into this ratchet image like she's auditioning for Love and Hip Hop Capitol Hill.
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. No one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need. Listen, he up there, he's hearing all kinds of nonsense and bullshit. Let me just be real. And we weren't gonna sit for that shit. We wouldn't, But when she called me and said, I think it's time for me to retire, and you're the one that I believe should take my seat, I really was kind of caught off guard. I didn't anticipate that. If anyone knows anything about the Congresswoman, they know. We showed up, and if he had some sense, then maybe we would have been about that life. But y'all know he ain't got no sense, so please give some love. This took a little bit of coordinating to do, for sure. We got some cool shirts. The congressional seat is over 4 times as large as my House seat. And I was just starting to get into the rhythm of doing constituent services and things like that. We got Madam Williams, who just happens to have the honorary seat. It's not even honorary because she's holding it down, y'all. But the legend himself, John Lewis, that is the seat in which she currently serves. So she honored his legacy. This is the message that she wanted to send today.
That's not cultural pride, it's cosplay. She's not challenging the hood, she's commodifying it, using a caricature of working class black struggles as her personal brand, while benefiting from a background of safety nets and privilege. This is why her representation feels hollow, because real working class black women in Dallas don't need a cosplayer. They need a policy maker. Look at the pattern. She mocked Greg Abbott as Governor Hot Wheels at an LGBTQ event Tasteless? Absolutely. But notice how animated, sassy, and fearless she gets when it's about defending immigrant rights or LGBTQ causes. Meanwhile, when it's time to champion reparations, black business funding, or systemic reform that benefits black Americans, she's quiet. No fiery speeches, no national campaign, no urgent bill. She's a firebrand when it comes to other people's fights, but silent when it comes to ours. It's not that she can't fight, though. It's that she chooses not to.
Since Jasmine Crockett has been getting a lot of bad press lately due to her own sister girl, I'm queen of the blacks behavior, she knows her time is up, but she's not giving up. Her own aides and staffers came out against her. They said that she's her own advisor, being that she doesn't like to take advice because she's doing the press stuff. They said that she does most of her work from home. And when they had a problem with her calling Marjorie Greene Taylor butch-bodied, because most of her staff and aides are LGBTQ or lesbian, they let her know that is not cool. She said, if you believe that, then you're stupid. One of her aides, who is a black woman, complained to Jasmine Crockett, and Jasmine Crockett fired her. She says she's not really for the black people because why would she fire me? Now, Jasmine Crockett's district, District 30 in Texas, they've had some media go out there and they said that District 30 is dirty. There's trash everywhere, abandoned buildings, and the people that were interviewed, it looks to me they have no hope. Looks to me, Jasmine Crockett is not investing in her district and that she is pocketing the money. Basically using the people as a come-up. And that's what the Democrats do. They create problems, campaign on the problems. They get the money for the problems, and they just put it in their pocket and start all over again. Just like Jasmine Crockett.
So let's check the receipts. Bills sponsored. Out of the 57, she has co-sponsored this Congress. Most are tied to immigration, LGBTQ rights, or general party line Democratic issue. None are laser focused on the black agenda. Affordable housing, no major wins. Criminal justice reform, crickets. Economic development for South Dallas, still waiting. Education equity, not even a headline. Meanwhile, her social media is booming. Her Crockett clapback clips average over 200K TikTok views. But you can't pay rent with likes, and you can't feed families with retweets. Now here's where it gets real. Texas Republicans are redrawing congressional maps, and guess who district is on the chopping block? Jasmine Crockett's. Why? Because she's politically weak. She has no loyal base. Her voters don't feel she's delivered for them. No policy wins. She has no records to defend and no leverage within the party. She's not on key committees. Redistricting is where weak politicians go to die. When the maps are cut, politicians who haven't built a strong base or delivered real results get diced out of existence. And Crockett is a textbook example. If her district gets splintered, she won't have a legacy to fall back on. She'll have Instagram followers, meme compilations and MSNBC clips, but no policy coalition to fight for her survival. She spent more time building a brand than a base. And here's the kicker. Her biggest mistake isn't her persona. It's assuming black voters are fooled by it. We all know the difference between representation and replication, between being seen and being served. When the maps drop and her district disappears, she'll have no one to blame but the mirror. Jasmine Crockett built a brand. Brands don't pass bills. Brands don't protect districts, and brands don't survive redistricting. So here's how low the rap game has fallen. Lil Yachty thought it was a good idea to drop a lyric referencing George Floyd. Yes, George Floyd. The man whose murder on camera sparked the largest protest movement in modern history. The man who literally changed the way the world talks about policing with his life. And Yachty thought his name belonged in one of his weak rap bars.
Wait for it. Wait for it. ITSUS, I'm finna go break the bank for it. Put my knee up on her neck. I went George Floyd. I be taking my knee up on her neck. I went George Floyd.
Now let's talk about it. The lyric didn't honor Floyd. It wasn't a tribute. It wasn't reflection. It was clout chasing. It was disrespect disguised as shock value. And what makes this worse is that we've seen this play more and more, because when Lil Wayne decided to rap about Emmett Till, the 14-year-old boy who was lynched in Mississippi, whose open casket funeral helped spark the civil rights movement, Wayne casually threw Till's name in a line about oral sex, like the brutal murder of a black child was just another punchline for his mixtape. But here's where it gets sickening, and I really want y'all to think about it. Both of these cases, Wayne with Emmett Till, Yachty with George Floyd, dragged black trauma into a sexual context. Think about how twisted that is. The lynching of a child, the public suffocation of a grown man, and somehow these rappers decided to sexualize that pain, turn it into a joke, and package it as entertainment.
Your fan base is mainly young white kids. You want young white kids saying that? Because I'm not saying it. Ain't nobody black saying it. So you're making this so young white kids can say it in the street. And you know what happens when they say stuff like that? That means more people end up like George Floyd, because you're teaching them that shit is funny and it's okay and they should do it again so niggas can rap about them. Niggas like you, though.
A lot of these music artists are just completely tone deaf, and I feel like that's something that needs to be talked about. Because there's no way Lil Yachty is going to incorporate a bar in his song that was related to an incident that struck up an entire political movement surrounding racism and political and criminal injustice towards black people. Like, it is of an artist's responsibility, and whether y'all think so or not, to look at the economy, look at the time we're in, and make music that people can relate to, or music that people can enjoy during a time period. Like, I remember when Lotto came out with the song Brokey, and yeah, the song is good and all, but I feel like it was just very tone deaf in a time where we're in an economic decline to make a song boasting about how people are broke and etc. And it's literally the same thing with Lil Yachty. One, when are we going to stop making a mockery of situations and incidents that happens to the black community? Like, why did he feel the need to put that in the song when it's literally an incident where a white man unjustly had his knee on a black man's neck for more than 10 minutes, which resulted in his death? And two, during this time where we have a fascist regime and a Republican takeover of the government that is trying to implement Project 2025, which is rooted in racism, colorism, fat phobia, anti-blackness, and a whole bunch of other isms, why even make a song and incorporate a bar that would just remind people of that, like, racism?
That's just not disrespectful. It's disgusting. Flat out weirdo activity. It shows a kind of rot in the industry where the easiest way to shock people is to pervert the memory of our dead. The pattern is impossible to ignore. Black death, black trauma, black pain, reduced to rhymes and punchlines by the very rappers who owe their entire career to the culture built on that pain. So here's the question. Is this ignorance or is this intentional? Are rappers like Yachty and Wayne so desensitized or so desperate for attention that they deliberately push these buttons just to trend? Because at this point, it's hard to believe it's just a slip. It feels like it's a formula. Now, when Yachty got called out, it wasn't just a random fan online. Stephen Jackson, George Floyd's close friend, who's been carrying his legacy since 2020, stepped up and checked him. Jackson called the lyrics whack, called it clout chasing, and told Yachty never to say Floyd's name again.
Just trying not to pay attention to you idiots, man, but like, it's just hard, bro. Like, Lil Yachty, bro. You've been whack, man. But you think you saying George Floyd name and trying to use his name in a bar, that's gonna make people like your whack music, man? That's weak. Y'all the only era that feel like demeaning the dead and saying that is cool, man. It ain't. It ain't. And it's me and the whole Third Ward and the whole Houston, Texas riding behind G, man. Don't ever say his name, bro.
And what did Yachty do? He picked up the phone, apologized privately, and that was it. Privately, quietly, off the record, no real accountability, no public apology, no explanation for why he thought it was okay in the first place. Just a phone call, a private one, to Stephen, and we didn't hear anything else. And somehow that's supposed to be enough. It's not. If you disrespect the legacy of George Floyd in public, you don't get to patch it up in private. If you're bold enough to put our pain in your lyrics, you should be bold enough to apologize on the same stage. But that's the bigger problem here that I want you guys to know. Rappers know we're too forgiving. They know that outrage will last a week, maybe two, and then we'll all go back to streaming their music like nothing happened. Wayne kept rapping, Yachty will too. They've learned that you can disrespect Black pain, drop a half apology, and the culture will eventually move on. And maybe that's the saddest part of all, because until we stop letting this slide, they'll keep doing it. They'll keep commodifying our trauma. They'll keep reducing George Floyd, Emmett Till, and every other symbol of our suffering to a punchline. And let me tell you something. If we wouldn't accept it from a white rapper, why are we accepting it from our own? So let's just call it what it is. Not just a mistake, not just ignorance. At this point, it's calculated. It's intentional. It's clout chasing off the bodies of our martyrs, and it's unacceptable. So this has been a Culture Debrief. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I talk about Black news all the time, so just stick around and support.